What's up, my fellow lionesses and lions? Welcome to the Project Lioness podcast, where we are here to disrupt the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, holism, and human consciousness. We are here to share bold truths about health and life from a female perspective. This episode is brought to you by our team, Inspire Co., where we stand for your health being inspired by choice rather than being inhibited by chance. Thank you for being here and joining in on these raw, real, and powerful conversations. We hope our show brings you inspiration and empowerment to overcome challenges, reclaim your life, and ultimately pursue your mission with power, purpose, and play. Now, let's get into the episode.
What's up, everyone? Dr. Mel here, coming at you in another Lioness soundbite. I hope you're enjoying these Lioness soundbites as much as I am. These are meant to be live transmissions of things that are coming through me, that I'm hearing from my clients, from my patients, and from the world. And oftentimes, these transmissions are the wisdom and the answers that I give my high-level paying clients that I want to share with you and share with the world. Because why gatekeep it, right? If there's something here for you that resonates, then I'm going to share it. And if it benefits your life, even better. So let's dive in. In this Lioness soundbite, which, by the way, these Lioness soundbites are meant to be anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 minutes max, so that you can digest it, take a bite out of my consciousness, and take what serves you into your world. Have a shift in your awareness, have a shift in your perception, maybe take a new action that ultimately brings you more fulfillment in any area of your life. So that's really the design of these Lioness soundbites, is to give you something to chew on for your day where it doesn't take an hour for the entire podcast. So in this episode, in this Lioness soundbite, I'm going to talk about the luteal phase and what a lot of people refer to as luteal bruteal, and how your luteal phase, which is a phase of your menstrual cycle, if you don't know what I'm talking about, how it can be a reflection of something that you experienced in your past. So let's start with a different paradigm. And looking at health, for example, when we look at health, there's two paradigms you can choose to operate in. One is the pathogenic model, which is very of the modern world, stating that disease is part of our life and we're going to study disease, and that we as humans are broken and there's things wrong with us, and we study the process of disease. Where the alternate paradigm and philosophy that I'm going to invite you into as we use more in deductive reasoning today is the salutogenic paradigm, which is the understanding of health and where health comes from, and that symptoms are not bad, but they're an invitation to look within. And in fact, symptoms are often the gateway to what the cure actually could be providing to you. So when I work with people, primarily women, I would say 90% of my clients in both my chiropractic business and my coaching business are women. What they often are struggling with is not only things like energy and mental health, but a lot of it is related back to hormones and menstrual cycles, because we as women have cycles and we aren't taught this in our culture. We're taught that, you're going to have a period, here's a tampon, and you're just going to have to deal with the pain. Like, that's just what it takes to be a woman. And I am here to invite you to consider that that doesn't have to be your reality. And just because that's common doesn't mean it's normal. I was someone, if you listen to podcasts, many podcasts, I share my story. So I'm not going to share it in this Lioness soundbite, but I was someone who struggled a lot with menstrual cycle dysfunction. And I just thought that that's how it was. I thought that that's how it needed to be, and it had to be as a woman. Until I learned otherwise, until someone, maybe you, like listening to this podcast, until someone came into my life and said, you know what, have you ever questioned your reality? Just a question to ask yourself. So anyway, luteal phase. When we look at the phases of the menstrual cycle from more of the salutogenic paradigm, every single phase represents a season. And I have an entire course on this. If you want to learn more, go to drmelkrug.com/magic of your moon. It's a $47 course that you can learn all about your menstrual cycle. Okay, so go check that out if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you have no idea where to start. So your magic of your moon, the luteal phase. Every phase is like a season, and I'm not going to go through every phase because, like I said, I have courses and so many other podcasts on it. But the luteal phase is the phase of fall. If we look at things like seasons, and every season serves. Every season has a gift and a wound that's maintaining the equilibrium of your universe, of your body. And so what I find is women who aren't connected to the luteal phase and they are struggling with luteal phase, which is generally what happens in luteal phase, is you're going to feel a little bit more emotional because you've gone from follicular phase to ovulation where your hormones are at their highest, and now our hormones are starting to go down. You get a little bit of rise of FSH and estrogen, a little bit of rise of that in the luteal phase. Progesterone's a little bit higher in luteal phase as well. But ultimately, everything is trending downwards because your body's getting ready to get rid of this egg that hasn't been fertilized. Okay, so that's like super 101. Like I said, I have courses and other podcasts. If you want to learn more, go listen to those to really, really dive deep into the consciousness of each phase. Highly recommend that course. So our hormones are going down. And this egg has gone from being released in the ovary during ovulation and making its way through the follicular tube, down through the uterus, down through the cervix, down through the vaginal canal. And once it hits the vaginal canal, then we're entering menstrual phase where you get your bleed. And that's because that egg has not been fertilized, and that egg is traveling down through the vaginal canal, through your vulva, and essentially tearing apart the endothelial layer of cells that is your vaginal canal. So every time you have a period, it's like a cleanse of your vaginal canal. It's beautiful, right? It's like a beautiful built-in cleanse. And here's the really, really cool thing is that that egg that you have inside of you actually came about when you were in your mom's womb and you were developing. So what your mom experienced, you experienced, and that egg experienced. So this is where you've probably heard me say it in multiple podcasts or any content if you've been following me for a while, that literally a menstrual cycle is like a generational detox. So you may not only be clearing things when you're having that and you actually give yourself a true bleed. And what I mean by a true bleed is you're not on birth control. You're not stopping it. You're allowing a true bleed to happen, not a false bleed. If you don't know the difference of true versus pseudo bleed, go listen to my podcast with Dr. Danielle Volger-Boss. We talk a lot about her and her work with naturopathy and helping women really understand like what birth control does to your body and the truth about birth control. So I digress. This egg is moving through. This egg has patterns and lived experiences it's gone through not only in you, but in your mom. And they think it even goes back to grandmother times. Okay, because when your mom was in your grandma's womb, her ovaries were starting to develop, and that was you, right? This shit will blow your mind, literally, folks. So get this. This egg is moving through, and you're probably going to be a little bit more susceptible to the water element in luteal phase because that relates to progesterone, and progesterone is more of a watery hormone if we look at Eastern medicine. So water, emotion, tears, you might feel a little bit more emotion at this time. You might feel, as people say, I mean, luteal brutal, right? It's brutal, and yet it's beautiful. So it's not just brutal, it's also beautiful because your body is so wise and it has this built-in mechanism of pulling everything that is ready to die. So remember, in fall, leaves are dying, leaves are changing color, nature is slowing down, things are headed south. Literally and metaphorically, and things are dying. And what I found, and I have no actual evidence in evidence-based medicine out there, this is literally just my anecdotal data that I have seen within working with over 1,500 clients at this point in my career, is that the women who have really, really severe luteal phases, because it doesn't have to be that way, by the way. Mine used to be really bad, and now I have like a day where I'm like, life is life. And then I'm through it. And I used to get almost polar opposite. Super depressed, super dark, wanted to end things. Anyway, that's for another conversation. So what I found and what I've witnessed as a practitioner is that the women who have really, really severe luteal symptoms, luteal expressions, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that often I found correlates to a root experience of sexual rupturing. What does that mean? Well, Sexual rupturing can mean anywhere from being molested, being raped, being touched without consent, not only rupturing of the body, but rupturing of the emotions. So a lot of maybe emotional or verbal abuse growing up. It's something I've witnessed, because what happens then is when you have those types of experiences as a woman, your system goes into defense, your system goes into protection. And unless you learn how to clear it and move through it and beyond it, which is what I teach a lot in my programs and what I facilitate for my high-level clients and work in my methodology, unless you clear it, that energy is locked and loaded in your nervous system and all the tissues that are related to that experience. So for example, if there was genitalia involved or that area, that's going to more likely impact that area. It can impact your whole system because any root experience can definitely impact holistically. And there's going to be a little bit more energy that those parts of the body take on. Following me so far? You tracking this? So here's what I found is, instead of judging your luteal phase, get curious and say, I wonder what's really going on in my body right now. I wonder what this experience, these emotions, these dark thoughts, these sensations in my body, is there perhaps something underneath the surface that I have ignored for a really, really, really long time? And my body is trying to wake me up to get me to be whole with it, to get me to integrate those experiences or that experience. And I see this time and time again with my Project Lioness students, with my one-on-one clients and patients in my office, is that the more we clear the emotional turbulence that's locked and loaded in the cells, the better their cycles get. And like I said, I don't have any anecdotal data of like books or research from the CDC. This is literally just what I see in case studies over time after being a practitioner for 10 years. And it literally, I would say I see this correlation 90% of the time, give or take. And if it's not in luteal phase, it's generally happening in ovulation or menstrual phase, because that's where the cell is starting to die, or there's a flip of season. Okay. So let me know if you're tracking this. Let me know in the comments what's coming through for you. And this is not me diagnosing anything. This is not me putting, any sort of medical advice out there. I have to be mindful of what I say as a doctor. Like, this is not medical advice. Consult your physician. We have to say that these days. But I want you to get curious and say, okay, instead of judging my cycle and just affirming this story in the program that luteal phase is brutal, why do you think it's brutal? Do you think it's because it has to be that way? Or is there some undertone of pattern encoding in your central nervous system that your body's really trying to get you to pay attention to? And this was the key for me, is when I learned that new paradigm all the way back to the beginning, when I learned that new paradigm of salutogenesis and that my body's actually not broken and that symptoms are a sign, symptoms are a signal, my whole world changed. I stopped popping Midol like it was candy. I got off my birth control and I started getting curious about what my body was really telling me. And turns out there was years of sexual rupturing that came to the surface that through the methodology I teach, I made whole, got clear with, and I'm able to move on. And now I'm literally recording this podcast in the middle of luteal phase. And usually what people will say, it's common to not be inspired, to have low energy in luteal. And I'm here to tell you, like, it doesn't have to be that way. Am I a little bit more emotional? Yes. Am I a little bit more withdrawn and going more inward like the fall? Absolutely. I'm not like gung-ho follicular ovulation, but I also find in luteal phase, I'm so much more connected to my heart. And those of you who listen to this podcast probably can hear, those of you like loyal fans can probably hear what phase I'm in. If I don't tell you, which I often do, but you can probably be like, oh, she's in follicular, she's in ovulation. And not that you need to track my cycles. And I don't really care if it's TMI, like we're all humans. This is a raw, real podcast, right? But I think it's important for those of us who occupy in female bodies that have cycles, like you're a different person every single week. And there's a gift in every single phase. So let go of this idea that you have to be on like ovulation all the time. And that what if your luteal wasn't brutal, but it was beautiful? Like luteal is beautiful. Let's affirm a new belief. Let's affirm a new identity with this. Luteal is beautiful. How beautiful is it to literally tap into the ancient healing wisdom of generational healing when our body allows this egg to move through, of all the things that maybe that egg experienced 10, 20, 30 years ago, that now it is time. Now it is time to have a proper like death burial of that. And here's the thing, like I said, to wrap this up, that thing that you're clearing, that egg holds a charge, that egg has a DNA encoding of what happened epigenetically. That egg has that experience in it, and now it gets to move on and die and disintegrate. And so you may feel some of those, what I call dying off symptoms that may or may not be yours, is the point I'm trying to get here. So it may not be something you experienced, but maybe it's something your mom experienced. Maybe it's something your grandmother experienced. So be open to the fact that, whatever my body's clearing is beautiful. Luteal is beautiful. Whatever my body is clearing, I trusted. It is beautiful, and I am safe to experience this, and it's not going to last forever. So I want to give you a couple somatic mantras to work with. And if you're curious about how to clear these emotions and step into more mental emotional mastery and really have it impact your cycles and your sex life, then reach out to me. I'll put some links in the description. Most of my podcasts have links in the description. If you're curious of how to work with me, if you're curious of different courses that I have, like I said, the menstrual cycle course, Magic of Your Moon, is a really, really great place to start. And I really, really hope that this Lioness soundbite serves you today. Let me know what you got out of it, my friends, and I'll see you in the next soundbite. Cheers.
Thank you for joining the Project Lioness podcast. Did you find value in today's episode? Help us impact the lives of others by sharing this podcast with someone you know who would resonate and benefit from the Project Lioness message. Excited to hear more? We invite you to subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we'd be so grateful for you to leave us a review about what you enjoy most, as well as what you'd like to hear more of. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely yours in power, purpose, and play. Dr. Mel with the Project Lioness podcast. Keep rising, keep roaring, and keep inspiring.